Hello, race fans. Welcome to another episode of Short Track Guys Podcast, brought to you by ShortTrackExclusives.com. I'm your host, Thomas Faddis, alongside one other short track guy, and you know him well, Jim Pokrant, driver of the 07, Can'tQuitFishing.com, sportsman here locally at Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola, Florida, and Ted Baber. Unfortunately, with Ted Baber Video Productions, he's on another assignment. He's going to miss tonight, but we'll look forward to having him next Wednesday. What's up, Jim?
Not much, man. Just sitting here getting ready for a championship night.
Yeah, speaking of championship night, that comes up this Saturday at Five Flag Speedway in your sportsman division, leading the points. And you've had the points lead for, a good while. I don't want to be picky about how many days it is, but I know every day trickles on. You're kind of anxious to get out there, get in the car, and get this thing done. So what's up with that Pokrant stable?
Well, you're right. I'm nervous about it. I want to get it over with because it's a double points night. So we probably got to finish sixth or better because we're qualifying, which is something we've never done on a championship night. Normally we line up by points and they let the champions run and do their thing, but it's what the track's doing, so it's what we got to do. It's a double points night, so we're going to drop the green flag and let the rough side drag and see what happens. Just nut and bolt in the car, trying to bulletproof everything and make sure everything's ready to go. And also getting my teammate Brock Gentz ready to run his first race in a while. And my other teammate in the pure stock division, Ben Cranford, and getting Ben's 343 ready to go. So we're ready for Saturday night. Just hope this weather holds out and we can get it done because I'm tired of waiting.
Yeah, being in Florida, they always say, if you don't like the weather here in Florida, just wait 15 minutes, it'll change. And it does every 15, 20 minutes, sometimes a half an hour. But outside of the weather, we're going to keep an eye on that. But this tire situation, it seems to be happening across the country with a lot of these Hoosier series that they're running those tires. And we were told a couple episodes ago that Hoosier would pretty much have a hold on these tires for delivery. So what do you know about that now?
Well, according to Tim Bryant, the pure stocks will get 2 new tires. I'll have to run 2 old tires. We're going to get 4. There's a chance we might only get 3, but that's fine with me. We can run on 4 old ones again. I don't care because I'm ready to get this done. The Hoosier thing is just Hoosier Tire is having a hard time getting employees. It's in a state that's been paying a bunch of unemployment without getting political. These people need to go back to work because they're ruining our racing. But, we'll be okay. I think if we get enough tires for this race and for the Derby, I'll be happy.
Well, do you expect an increased field for this Saturday night with the championship?
Yeah, I'm looking probably 10 to 12 cars because it's a 1,000 to win race also. So I'm looking for some people to show up with hired drivers and stuff like that. And if we do what we normally been doing, we'll finish in the top 3. We'll take this championship home. I'd sure like to take that $1,000 because, that's some extra money in my pocket, and being a low budget team with a tired motor, a tired driver, and a tired car, I would love to take that $1,000 and invest it in a car for the Snowball Derby and go win it too.
Yeah, well, now, coming up with Saturday night, the championship to win it, you have everything bolted up and ready to go for Saturday night?
Yeah, we're good. Everything's in good shape, man. We're just right now, all we're doing is just kind of going through the card, and I'm thinking of things to look at, to check and stuff like that. And we'll behold the neighbors in my neighborhood, because tomorrow, if the rain stops at any point, I'm going to take her up the street and make sure the clutch works. So everybody that lives on Twin Creek Circle, just ignore me when I come by. I promise I won't do anything silly. I just got to break her in.
Yeah, speaking of silly, I can just give you a little bit of advice from someone that kind of followed in your footsteps for several years at Five Flag Speedway. Just make sure your hood pins are in before you do that down the street.
Yeah, I double check all that stuff myself. So, I mean, and I have a lot of help, but at the shop, it's mainly just me because, guys got lives, got things to do, and I live there. So it's not that big of a deal. Thanks to Phil Gentz and his family for letting me, crash at their place. And, we're going to have some fun, man. Can't Quit Fishing. Thank you. Emerald Coast Remodeling and Trim. Can't thank Michael enough for all his support. Ted Baber Video Productions, my buddy Rick out of Fort Walton Beach Tech Master. He bought a tire earlier this year. He helps me when I need him to. And, just Martin and Will and Ben and all the guys that help us out. I appreciate it because we really need the help. Also want to give a shout out to my buddy Brian. him and his girlfriend, they bought me 2 tires for this next race. He come out of the blue and asked me if he wanted to. We used to joke, and Brian used to race at Five Flags many years ago. We used to call him Flying Brian, but he does remote control cars now. So thank you, Brian, for the tires, brother. And we're going to try to win this race. He's racing his remote control car Saturday night, so he won't even be able to be there. But I'd be proud to put him in victory lane, that's for sure.
Well, without a crew and without sponsorships and everything, you probably couldn't do this on your own, being where you are now.
It would be hard. And also, I don't mean to forget him, but Frank Yates, he is he's been my spotter for years. He was my crew chief for a very long time. He retired out of the Navy. He told me he was moving back to Pensacola, him and his wife at the time, to go racing with me, and he did. Bought a house in Pensacola, and he's been my spotter. His first wife passed away, Frosty, God rest her, and he took away the role of crew chief, said he didn't want to work on the car anymore. So he shows up and spots for me. He sits up in the stands, does the spotter job, and goes home. Frank, I love you. Thank you. And also got to thank John Ruth Automotive. He helps me, he helps several other drivers, and he is really the reason why my car's handling so good. He built me a set of shocks, helped me with some springs. John, man, brother, thank you so much for what you do for me. He's a real modest guy, doesn't really want any recognition, but he's going to get it from me.
Yeah, and that's, we start out with James Piper. Yeah, that's can'tquitfishing.com, sportsman, going for the championship Saturday night. Jim, good luck, and it sounds like we've talked about in previous episodes, it's just going to happen. This is your year.
I hope so. I'm not 100. I won't say I believe it till we cross the checkered flag and I got that big check in my hand that says track champion, and we go through tech and we load it on the trailer, and then we'll celebrate.
You're going to be joined with a few other champions that we're going to roll right into with an amazing dirt race at Eldora, which everybody is familiar with Eldora in Indiana, with Tony Stewart's being the owner. Took it over, 5, 6, 7 years ago or something? And
yeah, he bought it from Earl Baltes, and then Earl passed away, and Tony's been running it ever since.
Yeah, and they ran the 50th and the 51st. If you can understand, they ran it backwards because of COVID and everything. They didn't run the 50th. They ran the 51st World 100 at Eldora, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, dirt late model races in Eldora. Mm-hmm. With a huge purse and
$100,000.
Yeah, and not even to get to that, somebody in the stands won more than the driver did.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that in just a second. But they ran Wednesday and Thursday night last week. They ran the 51st World 100, and then Friday and Saturday night they made up last year's World 100 and ran it with just about the same amount of purse money. Mm-hmm. And I think they're 50-50, and now I have to explain to people 50-50. If you've been to a short track race, you know what 50-50 is. You have a staff member that walks through the stands. They have a roll of tickets. You buy them for $1 or $5 or whatever the price is, but 50% of that goes to the driver's fund, and then 50% of that, with the ticket drawn, goes to the winning ticket holder in the stands. And this purse, Friday and Saturday with the World 100 broke the record. I think the record was in 2015 was $88,000. Well, Saturday night's 50-50 ticket was $143,000 to somebody in the stands that bought a ticket.
That's insane. But cool. In another way, that's cool because it's good. It's money goes in the fan's pocket, and not only does he get to watch some of the best dirt track racers race, but he walks home with $147,000. That's insane, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I thought it was cool when Ted Baber Friday night Snowball Derby last year won $3,500. So that's crazy. But it's cool though. It's a big help with the fan experience. And Tony Stewart does such a great job with that track. I really hated that they lost a NASCAR date with the trucks because that was an exciting race. Mm-hmm. But hopefully they'll do better next time. And in the World 100, Brandon Overton wins the $100,000. But we got a little pride from our area. Jonathan Joyner, the Hunt the Front podcast, and they have their own little deal over there. They made the feature, which is a feat in itself because I think there's probably 80 dirt late models that show up and try to make this race, and he won the B main and made the show. And shout out to them and their team because they work hard, man. That's pretty neat to have a local guy make a big race like that.
Yeah. I would love to have a little bit of an interview with him to see his expectations going into that, knowing he's won a lot of races and he's one of the He's one of the names around this area in the Southeast in dirt late model racing that it just the Joyner family, really.
Yeah,
Not just Joseph, but they've been around a long time. They've won a lot of races. I imagine they have a separate house for each one of their trophies.
Probably so, yeah. But I mean, you got to consider the field. I mean, you got Tim McCready, you got Scott Bloomquist, you have Brandon Overton who won it, Kyle Larson, the NASCAR guy, and he finished 13th. I mean, come on, man, 13th. And guys like Darrell Lanigan and Chris Madden and guys like that are just the best of the best in dirt late model racing for $100,000. And you got to be kidding me, a local guy from Milton, Florida, and his ragtag bunch they made to show.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I don't mean ragtag. I don't mean that as an insult. I just mean they don't have the money that some of these teams have in their cars. And to make that race, I mean, that's big.
Yeah, it's not really a David and Goliath kind of thing. It's a little bit bigger than David.
Yeah.
But, he goes up against the Goliath guys, in a racing kind of sense with Tim McCready and Dale McDowell and all these guys. Brandon Overton, big sexy, winning all these races. But he goes up there and he throws them punches just as hard as everybody else. And to come away and winning, what did you say he won the B main?
Won the B main.
To get into the race, and he finished 21st against this kind of field. I mean, listen, he finished 21st, but you've got Scott Bloomquist, Brandon Shepard, Shane Clanton, and Tyler Erb finishing ahead of him in that field of 28 cars.
Yep.
That's incredible. I mean, that's something to hang your hat on.
It is, and those guys work hard. Like I said, I've seen some of their videos. They got a tire guy, and I can't think of his name, but he does a lot. He's prepping for a lot of dirt cars, and that's really great. It's good to see a local guy make a show like that. That's one of the things I want to do when I quit racing completely at Five Flags. I want to go run that Bristol Short Track Nationals when they have it on the concrete, and I want to try to make that race because to me that would be just as big as him making that one. To him, it's huge, and I'm proud of him, and I'm glad they did it.
And that the 51st was Wednesday and Thursday night, and then they did the makeup from last year, the 50th World 100 on Friday and Saturday night, and I think that 50-50 draw was $106,000 on Saturday night, which was crazy. And then Jonathan Davenport, and then Mike Millar, Brandon Overton, Tim McCready, and Chris Ferguson ended up top 5 in the Saturday night show. And we're going to post replays and highlights of that event on our Facebook page. It's just you can see the people not only in the stands but all the way around the racetrack. It's got to be on everybody's list. One of those races that you got to go before it's over.
It's on my bucket list, definitely. I want to go. I've had some friends that went and said it's an incredible experience. Even the food in the grandstands Tony Stewart's got it where it's reasonable and it's good. I've heard a lot of great things about racing at Eldora, and I just want to go watch, man. I would be a heck of a road trip.
Yeah, no doubt. I would put that on my bucket list too. And
definitely.
Trust me, I've got a big bucket. It's not 5 gallons. It's a big one.
I got a 55-gallon drum. I gotta start getting stuff out of, or I'm gonna run out of time.
55-gallon drum list.
Yeah, that's right.
Not a bucket list. It's
a drum list.
Yeah. So we're gonna roll back in after the World 100s, man. We've got somebody that we talked about a couple of episodes ago with Ted was here, running off a list of a Cars Tour. It's the Rock Solid Carriers Cars Tour up in the Midwest, Minnie Terrell. And I remember distinctly Ted saying, we don't know much about him.
Yeah, he finished last and crashed in that race.
Wow.
Tore the whole front end off the car.
Okay, well, guess what?
He's a winner now.
He's a winner at Tri-County. This weekend,
awesome.
Yes. Minnie Terrell, Sam Yarborough, Bobby McCarty, Caden Honeycutt, and Jared Fryer finished top 5 in that race at Tri-County. And Minnie Terrell, man, did he give it all he had. And he came out on top. He had the car on the outside. He worked the second group and just kind of took off and walked out, with the win. And I'm so happy to see that because we didn't know anything about him, but now we do.
Yeah. Well, it's great to see a driver like that, crash out of one race, get the car fixed, come out and win the next one. Cause, he's not a young kid, but he's a hell of a wheelman. And it's really neat to see him win. Cause, we like I said, last time we were talking like Minnie Terrell, who the heck's that, and now he's winning. So that's pretty cool, man. I'll tell you, when you can do that, come from the back like that. And the Cars Tour is a tough series. I mean, Bobby McCarty, I talked about him last time. That dude is a multiple series champion.
Yeah.
And tough.
Yeah.
and Jared Fryer, look who his grandfather was.
Yep.
And Caden Honeycutt, a young man that's making a name for himself, coming off dirt tracks, running asphalt as much as he can.
Yeah. And another driver that from Pinellas Park down in South Florida, Stephen Nassy ran double duty there with the Cars Tour, and he ran the Super, which we're going to roll into after this. But he ended up, ninth. Stephen Nassy, finishing ninth there.
Not up to his expectations, but it's a late model stock, so they're a little different. It's something that what he's used to driving. That's Bubba Pollard talked about that one time. That they have smaller brakes. They roll over a lot more because the roll cage goes from side to side. It's like a stock frame car with a late model body on it. Basically, I mean they run a steering box. Late models run rack and pinion steering. There's just a big difference. Mm-hmm. And, they're hard to drive. And, Bubba damn near won Martinsville if had it been for Matt Craig. But, that's the difference in those cars. And the super late, he's used to driving that one. You got plenty of brakes. You got plenty of horsepower. You got plenty of suspension. And that's the difference.
Yeah, well, it showed because the super late model portion of that race at Tri-County, he ended up finishing second, with Chandler Smith winning, Matt Craig, Jake Garcia, and Hunter Robbins. Hunter Robbins, being one of the guys that we've seen with all those others, Matt Craig and Jake Garcia and all those guys that come down here to the Derby, and they run the Southern Super Series all over the place. And there's just a good field there. But Stephen Nassy running, the Cars Tour, I think they're trying to dabble into a little bit more of that and kind of take their supers with them and then run the pros when they can. So, just what a great series to have that Cars Tour and the super late model portion into that same situation.
Yeah, and Chandler Smith with another dominating victory. I'm gonna tell you, he dominated. The little Bubba snuck up on him at Five Flags. I know I hate to keep bringing up Bubba Pollard, but that's my boy.
Yep.
But he snuck up on him and got him. But I'm gonna tell you something. That Donnie Wilson Motorsports, they finished dead. They won and finished dead last with I think Sammy Smith in the other car and. He just had some bad luck. I think they lost a motor, and he qualified very well and was running up front when the motor let go. So, Donnie Wilson's got it going on. He's got a good team with good, fast cars, and wherever they go, they're competitive.
Yeah, well, that's the World 100s, the Cars Tour, Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour, and then the super late model portion of that at Tri-County. And we got some announcement here that it's been around across the news and the network. Ricky Brooks.
Moving to being a promoter.
Yeah, a promoter at the Wheelman Series down in South Florida. And congratulations to Ricky. What a great guy he is. And been hard at it with the tech officiating. A name is just a name. The equipment's what he's worried about. You come across if it is within, the room of doom. If it is within spec, then you're okay. But just because you're this and that and the other doesn't matter. If something goes away, you can load it up and go home.
Well, Gary Ballou said that Ricky Brooks is the best inspector he's ever seen. He's better than DEA drug dogs. And, of course, he would know about that because his run-in with the law. But Ricky Brooks is going to move to a promoter's role. I hope he doesn't turn into a promoter. I hope he's still – because he's all about us short track guys. He's one of the best tech inspectors, but he respects us, even street stock guys. He looks hard. He's a great inspector. He's fair, but he also respects – even the little guys, even the pure stock guys, even the beat up bang bomber car guys, he respects us.
Yeah.
And that's something that's very important as far as a tech man is concerned. As far as I'm concerned, he's not a jerk to people.
Oh, it's just somebody that's doing his job.
Well, he makes a living doing what he does. He pays his bills by being a tech inspector, and he goes to different racetracks, comes to Five Flags, he goes to we don't go to New Smyrna no more. From what I understand, that deal fell through, but he's a great guy. I wish him all the best of luck with this Wheelman Series, and maybe we can follow it up and maybe get him on here one night and talk about it. With all the best of luck to you, Ricky, and just don't become a promoter, man. Please stay the same.
Be the tech man, but be a promoter at the same time. But just be Ricky Brooks.
Yeah,
you'll be fine.
Yeah, don't become a promoter because most promoters turn into jerks after a little while. They get where they don't care about the competitors as much. It's about their pocketbook. And I know a lot of them that have done that. I've been involved with several situations that turned bad. So
well, yeah, just we get to one right after another, and we're going to roll right into how about Mr. Rich Bickle Jr.
Another feature win for that old man. He's
Rich Bickle on a farewell tour. has won 2 big feature races.
The Joe Shear Classic
Yep.
and the Jim Sauter race, the Memorial race.
Yep, just last weekend, and now he goes to this
Grundy County, Illinois, and he ended up winning the feature. Set fastest time and won the race. And he's also won another feature at another short track somewhere in Illinois. I can't remember where, but that's 4 feature wins this year for Rich Bickle on his retirement tour. And like we said in previous shows, I'd love nothing more than to see him come win a snowball derby. As much as I want to see Bubba Pollard win a snowball derby, I'd love to see Rich Bickle win the last one because he's the only 3, 4, and 5-time winner of that race. And the dude is amazing. And to be his age and the shape he's in, man, I hope when I get to my 60s, I'm in the shape Rich Bickle's in, because I'm going to tell you, he don't look his age and he sure don't act like it.
Well, I saw an interview just a few days ago about it's kind of like a post-race interview with him. And I'm going to tell you right now, I put it down before, but not with Rich Bickle. But he's coming to play.
Yeah.
At the Snowball Derby. He is bringing his equipment. He's bringing his head. He's bringing his team. And I'm telling you, the guy had the car to win the last time he was here when he got involved with that incident. And he's not forgotten about that. And looking at what he's done already, there's no stopping him. He's going to come down here, and he's coming to win this race.
Yeah, he is. And the thing about it is he's won this race. He knows what it takes to win in Pensacola. And with this being his last race, I guarantee you he's bringing the big guns, everything he's got, and throwing it at the kitchen sink and everything he's throwing at it. Because, with Tim Bryant getting rid of live pit stops at the Snowball Derby, which I've always thought was a good idea, because it's not fair to the small late model team that makes the show and can run up front but doesn't have a NASCAR pit crew. Because you're going to have guys like Kyle Busch and the late model teams that have the big money are going to show up with a professional pit crew. And if you can't afford that, you're going to come in 5th and you're going to go out 10th. You're going to come in 1st. You're going to go out 7th. You're not going to have a shot at winning the race because of pit stops. And I'm glad they did away with that. I'm really happy with that fact. And I think this will help him, Rich Bickle, also.
Well, we wish him all the best, and I can't wait for December to come around and actually just follow along with a lot of these guys just, until that point. And we may see Minnie Terrell and some of these other guys that we've mentioned, first-time winners that come and get a ride like our conversation with Christian Rose last week. He is ready for the September 23rd Star Nursery 150 at the Bull Ring in Las Vegas in the ARCA Menards West Series, which we were really looking forward to the results and catching back up with Christian about his results there.
Well, let's hope he has a good run. I mean, y'all heard his interview. He's a really good young man, has his head screwed on straight. He knows where he wants to go. He knows what he wants to do. And they're also talking about an announcement. He may get to run a Snowball Derby, which we hope and pray that he does, because we would love to put a Short Track Guys podcast sticker on the side of his late model if he comes down, and we'd be glad to meet him, and we wish him the best. And also another young lady who's been racing at Five Flags and up at Huntsville, JoJo Wilkerson, is going to be in that race. She's making her ARCA debut at the same time. So, we got 2 drivers that we know who they are and pray they have a good run, because, like that Christian Rose, we were talking about that at our shop that night, how that kid never drove a race car, got in a late model, and was 2/10 off of what Matt Tift was running. And Matt Tift's a big-time race car driver. And to do that and them to go, "You've never driven?" He said, "No." That is ridiculously awesome.
It shows you kind of where he is, where he stands. You can look at Carl Edwards passing out business cards. Do you need a driver? Ryan Newman sneaking into racetracks to get a ride. And look what they went. And you can see the same thing with our interview with Christian about how he finagled his way into the garage area at Daytona.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
And happened to be in the right place at the right time, talking to the right people, and see where he is. And now he's in ARCA Menards West Series at Las Vegas. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. That's great. We love to see young talent and guys that kind of a Cinderella story kind of deal, and we love that because he seems to be a good kid. Not to go negative real quick, but I got to bring this up. I saw an article where Beach Ridge Speedway, which is in Maine, which is I think the only paved track in Maine, if I'm not mistaken. The promoter has his last final night of racing and does his presenting his trophies to the champions and all the stuff, and then turns around and says, "Oh, by the way, I sold the racetrack to a developer." I mean, what a negative kick in the crotch for race car drivers that have just won a championship at this old speedway, been there forever,
right?
And many famous names have come out of that place.
72 years, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been there that long. And here he goes, well, I sold to a developer. Really, dude? I mean, you're really going to kick the drivers in the crotch like that and say, oh, by the way, next year you ain't going to know where to race. Here's your championship trophy. Thanks. It's a shame because I know Dale Jr. does that show, Lost Speedways, and you see so many of these racetracks. There's one over in Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi. It was a high banked track like Five Flags that closed. You hate to see these racetracks close. People get out and go to your local short track. Stop letting these tracks close, because if the promoter makes enough money, he doesn't have to close the doors. He won't have to sell to a developer.
Right.
You know, I mean, Tim Bryant's lucky. He has the Snowball Derby, which brings him a crap ton of money every year, and, you know, he's fine, and he can run his local shows. But, I mean, if we don't start supporting these tracks, dirt, asphalt, you know, Saturday night you want a Southern, Friday night come to Five Flags. I mean, it's not hard. Come drink a beer, sit with your buddies. It's not always about, oh, asphalt racing's boring. No, it's about sitting out there having a beer, being friends with hanging out with your buddies, laughing, having a good time. Because the first time I went, it was just watching cars go around. Bring your nieces, nephews, your cousins, bring them out and let them watch. Who knows? The next Dale Earnhardt might be sitting in the grandstands.
For sure. And there are quite a few of them now, but with, you know, tracks closing like that, it just boils down to, you know, the money on the other side of it. And it's just a sad situation. And we almost had that situation here with Five Flags, and luckily the Bryants came in and saved it, and it is what it is. And it preserved that history, you know, from the late 60s. You know, I think Five Flags actually was before that, but not where it is in its like current location. But still, they came in and they saved it. And some of these tracks have to get let go, and it's just a sad situation for the community, for the people that they're loyal to. They've been there for so many years, and then the drivers. You know, now what do? They have to either sell their equipment, they have to load up, and they have to travel even further away to find another track.
And it kills their budget. I also heard the other day, you know, Myrtle Beach closed and was being sold to a developer. And then I heard the developer backed out on the deal after they've already torn down most of the grandstands and the fence and stuff like that. So, you know, you get out and support your local short track. Get out and do something. Watch. Be part of a team. Enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with getting your hands dirty on a Saturday night, getting hot and sweaty, and enjoying being around a bunch of your buddies. Yeah. That's what I love about the sport. Just about more than anything is the amount of friends that I've made, lifelong, always be there with you. My buddies that are helping me work on my car, you and Ted and everybody else, man. If it wasn't for this sport, I wouldn't know you guys.
Jim, you know, it's always a pleasure, albeit with Ted not being here. He'll be with us next Wednesday night. It's always a pleasure to talk racing and short track and success. It's always a positive for me personally. And it will be a positive this Saturday night. You guys are getting ready to go and win a championship. And I can't wait to next Wednesday's episode, because we're going to have a big special event going on next Wednesday night. I just know it. JBP07@hotmail.com, Ted_Baber@yahoo.com. Get in touch with those guys. If you got any questions for Jim, got any questions for Ted with your video production plans, let them know. Get with us on our Facebook page, Short Track Guys Podcast. Listen wherever you have your podcast stationed up, and we'll kind of bring you as much short track racing as we can.
Amen to that. Have a good night, everybody. And like I said, support your local short track.
Yes. Thank you for listening. Good night.